Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we react to Erik ten Hag's press conference for the Brentford game. Lots to get into in that. Very, very quick press conference for Erik ten Hag. It always is. He's very... Look, I like Erik ten Hag. I like Ralf Rangnick as well. I'm not comparing them in any way in relation to their managerial ability, but when it comes to press conferences, Rangnick was just like watching, a long, enjoyable film. Ten Hag, it's like, a quick advert. It's over very, very quickly. But we got the detail in there, and that's fine. Just before I start, though, I do have MUTV. You can boo me if you want. I have MUTV because of the press conference. That's the only reason I watch it. Every now and again, I watch a bit of classic old games. But I was just setting up the stream there after the press conference. They've got Lou Macari on MUTV, Man United TV, Manchester United own MUTV. It is their in-house TV channel, MUTV. They're talking to Lou Macari on MUTV about Adrien Rabiot, and he basically says, I don't think he's got any qualities. I've got a bad feeling about him, and why are we signing players that teams like Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea don't want? That's on MUTV. I had a bit of back and forth on Twitter with somebody today who was saying that I am dividing the fan base because I don't think Rabiot's a good signing. Maybe you want to have a word with MUTV because you've got MUTV basically saying it's not a great signing. So look, it's not. If we sign Rabiot, I know this fan base, I know myself, he will be backed because that's what we do. I can't remember a signing that's come into the club and everyone's gone, get out, we don't want you. That's just not the way Man United fans are. My issue with the Rabiot signing is this. I don't think he's a bad player. I've heard a lot of people saying he's terrible. I've seen a lot of people say Rabiot's terrible. If you think that's your opinion, that's fine. I don't think he's terrible. I remember when he went to Juve on a free. I wouldn't have minded him on a free. I thought, you know what, back then he was probably 24, 23. Thought, he's not, it's on a free transfer. It might not be worth a punt. I don't think he's terrible, but what I do think is the wages are too much. It's pure desperation. He comes with a lot of baggage. Nobody else wants him. He's high risk, and he's only coming here for the money. Apart from that, great. And I agree with Lou Macari. I think it's. I just have a bad feeling about this deal. And the thing is, I think Rob Dawson said it this morning. Man United's first contact with Juventus was a week ago, Saturday. He's never been part of the plan. It's pure desperation. I don't think United fans have that much of a problem with Rabiot. I think most of the frustration about the Rabiot deal is with Murta and Arnold and the Glazers and how desperate it is. That's the problem. Because if Rabiot was part of the plan in May, we could have signed him in May. It's just pure desperation. That's the problem with that. Jimmy says, been saying this since the window opened. We should be in for Dest. Now Barca have put him up for sale. Attacking 21-year-old right back, and Ten Hag created him, says Jimmy Garner. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Callum, welcome to the Members Club. Anyway, let's fly into the... Hossam says Ten Hag out. I've had enough. Ten Hag, you can get out of the bloody chat with that chat. You're going to be in the minority there. Let's get into the show. Press conference from Erik ten Hag. Wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I know there's an embargoed bit later. I don't think we're going to get great press conferences out of Ten Hag unless he starts talking a little bit more. And I don't think he's that sort of person. Absolutely fine. But he's not Mourinho. He's not Rangnick. He doesn't like to talk and educate and enjoy a conversation. He probably doesn't trust the press. He doesn't communicate that much. His answers are very short and very sharp. So you don't get loads of detail. You get bullet points. I suppose the first thing to say is it's back. Good. Okay. Hopefully that's not going to be a problem through the stream. So yeah, Martial and Lindelof not ideal, but not the end of the world that they're out. He was asked about. I suppose we'll just go through order. He asked about 10 questions. We'll go through it. So in relation to Ronaldo, will he start and what's his future? Ten Hag says he's had a good training week. I'm not going to tell you about my starting 11 tomorrow. Just refresh the chat. Not going to tell you about my starting 11 tomorrow. I know I've made my decision about the team, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. And again, I think I would say this to journalists as much as I would say it about Ten Hag's short answers. We saw it on pre-season. If you're a journalist and you're asking Erik ten Hag a question, don't ask two. He'll only answer one. So there was 2 questions there. Will he start against Brentford, and what's the situation with his future? He literally just answers the question about starting. So you've got to go in with a follow-up question there, which we didn't get. So we didn't get an answer about his future at all from Ten Hag. He just avoided that. Hi Mark, McTominay should have stayed in Melbourne. I could have got him a job labouring on my work site, says Stephen. He'd have liked that. He's got a six-pack. On Ronaldo, this wasn't from Ten Hag, but on Ronaldo, the latest on Ronaldo, and it can change. There's still just under 3 weeks of the transfer window to go. Could change, but the latest on Ronaldo is that he's training hard at United, and he will be at United this season, unless there's a real surprise at the end of the window. What I would say is that this transfer window has been full of surprises at the end, so I wouldn't guarantee Ronaldo's going to be at United in September, but at the moment it's looking quite good. He's got to start tomorrow. If he starts tomorrow, we win. He scores a couple of goals. Let's get this season started. That's what I'm thinking. So, yeah. Anything on De Jong, says Pablo. Well, in relation to De Jong, he was asked about De Jong. He was asked about Rabiot, and he said, I can't comment on other players that are under contract. So you're always going to get that answer from him. That's always going to come out. He was asked about Marcus Rashford. Obviously, a lot of stories coming out of Rashford. You've probably watched the last couple of shows where we've mentioned this. So basically, Rashford representatives in Paris last week talking about a move to Paris, PSG. We understand that this may well be a tactic to get a new contract. I think I think Rashford's played it perfectly. He's going to get this new contract because Rashford. Ten Hag asked about Rashford, said. Really important player, very happy with him. He will stay at Manchester United. So, one of the things as well, this has not been mentioned, but one of the things that was part of Erik Ten Hag's interview from Manchester United was that they wanted him to commit to getting the best out of Marcus Rashford. So, this is one of Ten Hag's key performance indicators. One of the things he has to do is get Rashford back playing like he was 3 years ago. United don't want to sell Rashford. They want Rashford to be the star of the team. They want him to have a new contract, and they want Ten Hag to make him great again. And Ten Hag is completely on board with that. So we will not be selling Rashford to PSG. Whether people want that to happen or not, it's important to remember this was one of the key things United said to Ten Hag, and he committed to. They said to him, we want you to get the best out of some of these players that have fallen off. The Brunos, the Maguires, the Luke Shaws, the Rashfords, the McFreds. That's part of his job. That was part of the conversation. That was part of the interview. That's part of the things that Ten Hag's agreed to. And Rashford is a big player, a part of that. It's about getting the best out of Rashford for Ten Hag. He's not for sale. They want him to be one of the stars of the team again. So he's not for sale. And Ten Hag has said that publicly. He's not going to go anywhere. So yeah, the mind boggles on that, really, doesn't it? Why are Rashford representatives in Paris when he knows full well the club are going to give him a contract, and he's going to get a lot of game time? It's a bit weird. Elijah says, how can journos come out and say Ten Hag is getting his targets? ZX story, also Ten Hag confident of a better squad. Rabiot ain't in the answer. Well, we're going to come to that, Elijah. So let's go on to the transfers bit. Hi Mark, what is your comments on De Jong? Do you still think he'll come to Man United? Huge love for you from India, mate. Love your work and effort, says Aravind. Remind me of that at the end. Ten Hag loves Rashford. Told that by Sterling guy, says Robert McCormack. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Robert, and I think that's what we're sort of talking about there. Ten Hag is a massive fan of Rashford, and I think Rashford's going to be a massive part of this Ten Hag journey. So whether people like that or not, he's been very clear about it, and he's been very clear about it again. What happens if Ten Hag resigns, says Stephen? I don't think Ten Hag's got the look of a man who wants to resign, to be honest with you. Not at all. He was asked about transfers, and he was basically asked if he was happy with the progress of the transfers so far, to which his response was very much, yes, I'm happy. He was asked about how he's cooperating with the board. He says, I'm happy. And we're cooperating really well. He was also asked if they're on the same page for transfers, to which he said, yes, we are. So, God, I don't know what's going wrong with that. I've got a bit of a cough coming. What does that mean? I mean, Ten Hag himself had to clarify the question. Are you on the same page with transfers? What that means is if Ten Hag says he wants Ziyech and the club say no, you're not on the same page. You don't agree. Ten Hag says they are on the same page. I think they are on the same page. I don't think that's breaking news. Ten Hag wanted Arnautovic. The club went and put a bid in. They shouldn't have put a bid in. So they are on the same page. I want Ten Hag to do well. I'm 100% behind Ten Hag. I think he's a really fantastic coach. But he should have been told no on Arnautovic. Like, he should have been told no. Funny enough, Lou Macari on MUTV was saying, I'm from Stoke. We never should have been in for Arnautovic. So, again, I don't know what... I mean, there seems to be... When you've got MUTV presenters basically saying United shouldn't be signing players that Man United are trying to sign, it just shows you the level of confusion at Manchester United at the moment. But Ten Hag saying that they are on the same page, re-transfers. I want to talk about Ziyech in a minute and De Jong. But, so look, I think when Ten Hag says he's happy with the transfer progress and they're cooperating well, it's not true. It's quite simply not true. We are not doing well in the transfer window, so how can the manager be happy? You've just lost to Brighton, mate. How can you be happy? If you had De Jong and you had Anthony for that Brighton game, I don't think we would have lost it. So how can you be happy with the progress of transfers? How can you be cooperating well when you've just lost at home to Brighton because you haven't got the players that you want? That's just an answer that he has to give. He can't sit there when asked if he's happy with the transfer business and how they're doing. He can't sit there and say, well, would you be happy? I've lost to Brighton. I've still got no new signings for Brentford. Got Liverpool coming up in a couple of weeks. We're not prepared. This is not the team I wanted. And no, we're not cooperating well. That's the honest answer, but he can't give it. We've got another yes man. If he's on the same page with the board of transfers, my God, we're in big trouble, says Sean Turner. I've done a complete 180 when it comes to Bruno. I don't think we can rely on him, says Progressive Dad. Hi, Mark. Is there any news on Wan-Bissaka, says Akanesh? I can talk to you about that in a little bit on transfers. So, no, Ten Hag's not happy and they're not cooperating well. But he has to say that. And the reason we know they're not cooperating well is we spent all summer chasing a player we might not get. He wanted Anthony. That's not looks like it's not going to happen. We're now desperately going for Rabiot, who we weren't even interested in 10 days ago. We've had a bid rejected for Arnautovic, who we never should have gone for. Werner rejected us at the... we tried to get him at the end. He went to Leipzig. So we're not cooperating well. And he can't be happy because he hasn't got the players he wants. But publicly he's got to say that because they're all in it together. Murta, Arnold, the Glazers, Ten Hag, McLaren, they're all in it together. They've got to be. They've got to have each other's back. I get that. But they're not cooperating well. It is a circus, as Victor says. And they've got less than 3 weeks to sort it out. Just to let you know, the Poch Brigade still lives on. We are still here, says Rash. Well, I am very wary of that, Rash. I am very wary of that. I know the Poch Brigade lives on. I think there are media outlets that wanted Poch that won't take long to go for him if the results go bad. But, we're in trouble at the moment. The hope is that we can get out of it with a win tomorrow and start the season from there. He was asked a very good question by Simon Stone, actually, about whether the squad on the 1st of September, so when the transfer window closes, whether the squad on the 1st of September will be better than now. Now, I don't know whether Ten Hag misheard that. I felt like he misheard it because he answered it so quickly. But basically what Simon Stone's question was, will the squad in 3 weeks' time, when the transfer window closes, be stronger than the squad now? I.e., will you have players in 3 weeks' time? So that was the question. Will you make some signings by the end of the transfer window to make this squad stronger? That was the question. Now, if Ten Hag misheard it, maybe he did. But what he said is, we have to, and I'm confident we will. That was the answer from the manager. So Simon Stone said, basically, will this squad be stronger in 3 weeks' time when the transfer window closes? Ten Hag says we have to be, and I'm confident we will. So that's the manager saying that we're going to make signings. We know John Murta's in Turin right now, finalising the Rabiot deal. I don't think signing Rabiot should really involve a flight to Turin. It should be done on a Zoom call. It's that sort of a signing. But, maybe that's the strength that Ten Hag... I mean, that's still strength, isn't it? It's still one player. What we need is about 3 or 4. Whether we can do that, I don't know. And I do have massive sympathy with Ronaldo, by the way. I don't care what anybody says. I've got massive, massive sympathy with Ronaldo. He asks to leave because the squad has shown no ambition. He can't leave, and now he's here at United. We lose the opening game, and he knows that this season could be as bad as last season. So I have sympathy with Ronaldo because people can moan about let him go and he's a traitor and this, that and the other. But is he not right to want to leave because the club's in a mess? I mean, it's almost the conflicts that you have every day. Apparently you're divisive if you agree with Ronaldo, but then everybody wants rid of the Glazers who have created this mess. I don't really understand. Well, it's not for me to understand, but ultimately I thought we were all in agreement with Ronaldo that the club's a bloody circus. There's no ambition here and it's been run into the ground. That's why he wants to leave. So I'm a bit confused as to why people are on Ronaldo's back when he basically wants to leave for the reasons you want rid of the Glazers. But, we've had a whole generation of players playing under 4 or 5 coaches, all with different styles of over 10 years. What results did we expect, says MOT. Thank you very much. So, yes, we are expecting some signings to come in. I think Ten Hag is expecting some signings to come in. And we are going to make some signings. The fear is, because we've all been here before, we're now in the Falcao, Cavani, Agallo world, where, the Ahmad world, the Palestri world, the Alex Telles world, where it's the last 3 weeks of a transfer window that's not gone well, you've got some money, and you're throwing it at anything. And that is what my fear is. I know De Jong's the target. I know Anthony was a target. Can we still do those deals? Or is it going to be, let's just throw money at players we were never looking at a week ago because we're desperate? And that, I think, is the fear in the fan base at the moment, is that we're just going to see money thrown at whatever's available. And whatever's available in the last 3 weeks of a transfer window is very much like when you go down your local co-op or your local shop on Christmas Eve because you've forgotten to buy stuff for Christmas Day. You probably won't get any cranberry sauce. You'll be lucky to get a turkey. You definitely won't get any Brussels sprouts. The key ingredients for a Christmas dinner you will not get if you go last minute shopping on Christmas Eve. And that's what Man United are going to end up with. You're not going to get the key ingredients for a big season when you're shopping in the last few minutes of a transfer window. And unfortunately, that is the risk now. That is where Man United potentially are. And that is what Rabiot represents. And I hope it works. Some would say Cavani did work. I think he worked season 1. I think it was a disaster season 2. And he was a desperation signing that nobody else wanted. But he did work to a certain extent. Look at Southampton away. We won because of him. So maybe Rabiot works. Maybe he does work. I hope he does work. But my issue with Rabiot, and I think many other people's issues with Rabiot, some people think he's just pure crap. I don't think that. I just think it's a desperation signing that we shouldn't be doing. We're meant to be a new Manchester United. This is not new. This is the same mistakes we've made year after year, where we desperately buy players nobody else wants and we give them wages that are more than most of the Man City and Liverpool squad that win things. Explain to me why Murta is in Turin negotiating big wages with Rabiot, who nobody else wants, and we're going to pay him more than most of the Liverpool squad and Man City squad get. Make that make sense. Why are we going for a player we've not been looking at all summer, that nobody else wants, who's got big red flag risks against him, and we're going to pay him more than most of the Liverpool squad? Make it make sense. That's my concern with this deal. Some people just want to simplify it and say, oh, you're just saying Rabiot's shit. He's not that shit. I'm not saying that. I think he's better than McTominay, and maybe that's a reason enough to buy him. But my concern is he was never on the list until a couple of weeks ago, probably a week ago. Nobody else wants him. It's pure desperation, and the wages are going to be stupid. How many times have we said that over the last 10 years? Too many times. Rashi has 1 season to get his career on track. I can't see the fan base reacting well to new contracts, says Ari. We need signings, yes, but Erik ten Hag should still pick a better 11 against Brighton and we would have won, says Josh. Isn't news about Rashford wanting out worse than Ronaldo, since without Rashford's motivations seem to be driven by a desire to get a better contract, says Stephen. Well, look, I said that this morning. I like Rashford. I know he's not going to be sold. I hope he's going to have a good season. I hope he scores tomorrow. I hope he starts playing well again. But I don't see the difference between what Ronaldo's done and what he's done with his representatives in Paris. I'm not saying it's as bad, but it's not far off. You've got representatives at another club talking to Paris. But it's not... where's Gary Neville on this? Where's Jamie Carragher on this? Where's Roy Keane on this? You know, I can't wait for their comments about it. I think Gary will be back in the Harry Kane world, won't he? Because it's an English player. Oh, you can't blame him. You can't blame him for wanting to go, you know. But if it's Ronaldo, it's very, very different. I just want a bit of equality, basically. I like both players and I want them both to stay. I know that's controversial, but I want them both to stay. But they should be treated the same. They're both angling for moves, or they're both speaking to other clubs. If the papers are to be believed, because people will say, well, maybe it's not true about Rashford, maybe it's not true about Ronaldo. He's never said anything publicly either. Hi Mark, I'd argue Frankie de Jong isn't even a traditional DM. He's more of an 8. What do you think? I've always said that, Kian. I agree. Rash says Ronaldo is an employee of the club. It shouldn't matter how big of a mess the club is. He is under contract. Who does he think he is? Says Rash. Yeah, because that's how football's worked for years, mate. You know I'm going to sit you down. Get comfy, get a cushion. Roy Keane was under contract at Manchester United. He said at the start of the season he's not going to sign a new contract. He's going to leave. That went on for months and then he signed a new contract. Who does he think he is? Yeah, who does he think he is? You know, these things happen. They do happen. It's not unique to that situation. 11 million for dividends but not paying the deferred de Jong wages makes it make sense, says Matty. I felt he looks not interested already. He knows what he has signed up for. This board will never support him, says Red Devil. I think he's talking about Ten Hag there. If Rashford is 70 million, then Jesus is 150, says Zane. Difference ain't nobody cares if Rashford leaves, says Salai. And Mark, how do you rate growth of players who are here since 2015? Rashford was good during the start, says Kelka. Well, look, I want to just talk about De Jong, Ziyech. Somebody asked about Wan-Bissaka, and I think there's a couple of other things to bring about Ten Hag that he'd said. But I think we're universally in agreement on one thing here. Whether it's Rashford, Martial, whether it's Bruno, whether it's Maguire or anybody. The last 3 years under Solskjaer, nobody got trained. Nobody got trained. Nobody got coached. Nobody developed. We've now got a manager who can coach and develop. So if you're Rashford, Bruno or whoever, we hope that we're going to see better players because they're going to be better coached. Or they're going to get exposed as not being good enough. There is two sides to the coin. So there is always a sympathy vote for a player who played under the Solskjaer for the last 3 years because they got no development. But now is the time to deliver. Is Barca using this new lever to pay De Jong wages or just using it to register all their new signings? Says Kieran. I've lost interest, Kieran. I think they're doing it so they can register players. Aredia says, never thought I'd be waiting for Martial to come back and play on the left. Rashford needs to be dropped. Can't have him start every game and get an average performance. No one else there to play on the left, says Aredia. I think Rashford will score tomorrow. Clip it. Clip it. I think Rashford will score tomorrow. Do you know why I think he'll score tomorrow? I've still got loads to talk about, but I'll just give you this little story. I think Rashford will score tomorrow because the odds... he has to score tomorrow. Somebody said something that I don't think he's scored for United, and I don't know exactly, the chat will correct me, but I think it's over 10 games since he scored a goal for United. He's a Man United attacker. Like, if he scores tomorrow, people will be, oh, he's back. He's not back. He scored a goal. But it's been so long since he scored, the law of averages suggests he will score at some point. So I think he will score tomorrow. But I think that's one of the problems with our club at the moment. This happened with McTominay in January. McTominay played really well against Burnley, right? He'd played badly for the 3 months before. He played well against Burnley in January, and somebody was, and he got man of the match. And suddenly people were going, "That's it, McTominay! All haters sit down." And then the very next game, he was rubbish. We fell into this trap at United now, where these players, whoever, you can pick any name you want. There's loads of them. They can play badly for 10, 15 games. They have one good game. And everyone forgets the 10 or 15 bad games because that one good game, oh yeah, haters sit down. And that one game, good game, doesn't even need to be that good. It just needs to be slightly better than average because they've been so bad for so long. We've got to get back to where we've been for years and years, which is where one bad game is called out as unacceptable because normally they play 10, 15, 20 really good games. We've got it the wrong way round. We over-exaggerate a half-decent performance because it's surrounded by 10, 15, 20 terrible performances. when I was watching United under Sir Alex, it was one bad game would get called out because it stood out like a sore thumb around 15, 20, 30 really good games, because that's what we were. We've now gone the other way. We get 15, 20 really bad games, one good game, and that's the one that gets shouted about. We need to demand consistency of performance, and I think this is something that Ten Hag will do. Mark, I honestly believe if the season is a disaster, it will be the Glazers last, says Graham Barber. There will be anarchy. Hate to say it, but I'd take 10th in the league if it means Glazers out. Desperate times. Thank you very much. And I've done that one. Okay, so let's just finish up on Ten Hag, then we can talk about a couple of other things. So he was asked about what he learnt from the loss against Brighton. He said, I learnt a lot, but it's the same as what I always do. I analyse the game, I look at what went wrong, and then we show the solutions to the players. He also says, what did I learn? Well, it's normal at the start of the season that you're going to make mistakes, and we've got to learn from that, and there's a lot of work to do. And immediately I thought Ralph Rangnick. I thought I've got to bring Ralph Rangnick in here, because if Erik Ten Hag quite rightly is saying, look, it's the start of the season, it's a brand new coach, we're all getting used to each other, we're going to make mistakes, we've got to learn and find the solutions quickly. That's basically what Ten Hag said, absolutely correctly, right? Look at the way Rangnick got treated by some fans, but mainly the media last year. Ten Hag has had 6 weeks of training. 2.5 weeks of that was in Australia, intense training, living and sleeping with the players. I don't mean sleeping with them actually in the same bed, but you know what I mean. They're all in the same hotel, they're socialising, they're basically living together. So Ten Hag has had 6 weeks training this team with no pressure, just complete preparation, and we still lose to Brighton, and he still has to come out and say, look, we're going to make mistakes, it's going to take time. Ralph Rangnick gets thrown into the middle of the season, no training camps, nothing, no backing in the January transfer window, and gets constant pelters about he's not a decent coach, he can't even get him to play pressing football. Right in the middle of the season. Players not even got the right fitness levels to play a pressing game. Rangnick got absolutely slaughtered last year. And I think, people should probably keep receipts and they should be apologising, because many people said at the time it's mission impossible for Rangnick to get this team to play pressing football when it's halfway through a season. There's no training camps to get them up to speed. There's no time to really work on tactics. It's game. You've got Ten Hag saying, it's going to take time. This is what's going to happen. It was expected. We will make mistakes. He's had a pre-season with this lot and he still can't get them playing. What chance did Rangnick have? Iraqi says, this is a very important game when we can see if Ten Hag has balls to notice which players are hopeless and make ruthless changes. Cough, cough, Maguire. Well, I said it on the preview last night. We'll learn a lot about Rangnick tomorrow, because I think he should be dropping 3 or 4 players. If he goes with the same starting 11, I think it will be a big disappointment to a lot of fans. I don't think he'll do that. But, I would bring Varane back in. I'd bring Malacia in. I'd drop Bruno. And I'd drop McTominay. So, yeah, he should be making 3 or 4 changes tomorrow. Because he's got to send out the right message. It's not just about picking the same team and it's just the same as Ollie, whatever. It's not about that, really. It's about sending a message. He's got a big squad. And if you're on the bench last Sunday and United lose embarrassingly bad, and then you're not in the team yourself on Saturday, you're like, well, what's the point in being here then? You're giving more chances to players that don't deserve it. Give me my chance. So I think that's really interesting tomorrow to see what happens. He was asked about the pressure of the job and whether, that's surprising. He basically said, look, it's not a surprise, the pressure. You have to win every game at Manchester United. I know that. And we've got to prepare for that. So I don't think he's surprised by the pressure at all. I think he's fully aware of how it will work at Manchester United. I think the most interesting question to ask yourself as a United fan at the moment is, where is this going to go? I think that's one of the hardest things to map out for me. Is I would say the optimism bubble has burst, not because of Eric, because of the club. Obviously the Brighton result was a major disappointment as well. I said that after the game last Sunday. The illusion of a new manager in this invincibility is gone. Even when you think about Ollie, when he got the job, he went unbeaten for fucking ages, didn't he? So, that new manager bout. Rangnick won his first game against Palace as well. So Ten Hag is really unfortunate that new manager bounce is flat. You expect a new manager whenever they come in, whether it's start of the season or middle of the season, whatever. Whether you're a relegation candidate, a lot of relegation teams do it. They get a new manager in because you're almost guaranteed with a new manager you'll get a bounce of results, and those you might get 7 points from 9 or something. So that's gone out the window. Of course, the new manager bounce has gone. He's lost his first game, so that air of invincibility, not only from teams outside, but within the dressing room, they'll know that Ten Hag can be beaten. Even though it was their fault, the mentality of the players inside, they'll be going, well, he's a good coach, but he's been beaten already. So, the doubts will be in their heads of the players as well, that, we can be beaten already with this new manager that everyone wants. So it's tough. It's tough. We've got to beat Brentford tomorrow, but I'm more thinking bigger picture. What's in store for United this season? And I think it's the big unknown. Ten Hag has to be the manager next May. He has to be the manager next summer. That has to happen. Whatever happens, we've got to stick with this manager because I think it's the right appointment, and I hope that will happen. I can't guarantee that. You know how the press works. You know how the fan base works. It can change. And it might have every right to change if we lost 5 games in a row, let's be honest. But I can't predict this season. I couldn't really predict it before we played Brighton. I certainly can't predict it now. The transfer window has been chaotic in a bad way. And I don't think we're going to get the business we need to get done in 3 weeks. So I just think this season's going to be a roller coaster. And the question is going to be whether we have more ups than downs. Mark, do you think Erik ten Hag is a man of few words and will speak on the field tomorrow? That's why he was a little off today because of the first loss, as Jash. I just think that's the way he is, Jash. I like Ten Hag and I'm worried the incompetence of the club and these players will ruin the reputation of a potentially world-class manager, says Stephen. Well, I've said this many times, Stephen, and I know many of you have as well. We've spoken about this many times over the years, and I long for the day when we never have to say it. But if Pep Guardiola was manager or Jurgen Klopp was manager of Man United, they'd 100% fail. You can't succeed at a club as a manager unless you've got the right backing above you. Pep has had it at Man City, Bayern and Barcelona. He's a fantastic coach, but he has had good boards above him who back him. Klopp at Liverpool has had a fantastic board that might not be able to throw the money that Man City can, but they've still backed him and they've still worked with him. United, whether it's Mourinho, Van Gaal or Ten Hag, the board just don't support the manager. And you can use all the analogies you want, but the best one I think is you've got 2 arms tied behind your back and you're going into a boxing ring. You're going to get knocked out. Doesn't matter what's in your head. If you haven't got the arms to throw the punches, you're going to get knocked out. Look, you send Tyson Fury into a boxing ring against Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury's got 2 arms tied behind his back. He's getting beat up. No matter whether Fury's better than Joshua or not, he's going to get beat up because he can't fight. And that's the best way of looking at it. Any United manager, not just Ten Hag. Mourinho had it. Van Gaal had it. You're going into the ring, you might be a better fighter, better coach, but you will lose because you can't throw the punches the opposition can. And that is United's problem. Ten Hag, if he gets the sack, doesn't necessarily mean he wasn't the right man. Because if you don't get backed, how can you be the right man? How can you be successful as a Man United coach when the team and squad that you've got is a bit of Mourinho, a bit of Van Gaal, a bit of Ollie? You've got all these players. And let's be honest, a lot of these players that are still here from the Mourinho era or the Van Gaal era are players that haven't succeeded because no one else has come in for them. And we've not been able to sell them because they're on big wages. So the squad is fragmented. I've said it so many times. It's like going to do a jigsaw and finding 4 or 5 different jigsaw bits in there. How are you supposed to build a picture? Aradia says, with the current squad, we will finish 8th or lower than that. Only if we get Frankie de Jong, Rabiot and a winger and Ronaldo stays, we might finish 5th or 6th. I predicted before the start of the season we won't finish top 4. It'd be a pleasant surprise if we did. But as I said this morning, if we don't finish in the top 4, next summer's going to be worse than now. So I hate to say this, but I think things are going to get worse at United. Because if we don't get into the Champions League this year, the money we've got next summer will be dreadful. But let's not worry about that. Ten Hag plus Rangnick could have been a match made in heaven for this club, but alas, says Apratam. Yeah, and just remember, I don't think Ten Hag sacked Rangnick. I think Rangnick was going way before Ten Hag came in. Way before we'd even decided to appoint Ten Hag, the club were getting rid of Rangnick. So, yeah, I am on career mode today, about 3 o'clock, Comanche. A few things I just need to cover. Frenkie de Jong. The latest on Frenkie de Jong is that it's exactly the same as where it was. Barcelona are desperately trying to register players. It's gone a little bit quiet with Chelsea and de Jong. I think Chelsea really wanted to push this quite quickly. They've not really received any encouragement. I was speaking to a Chelsea journalist this morning, and they basically said to me that, look, Chelsea are interested in de Jong. They want de Jong, but I think they're a little bit disappointed because they sort of came in with this big fanfare at the start of the week. We want de Jong, willing to pay anything for de Jong. And it's not been received the way they thought it would be from de Jong. Because de Jong is saying the same thing he said to United. I want to stay at Barcelona. So Barcelona want to sell de Jong, but Chelsea are going to hit the same problems that we've got. And it's just, what's going to happen with that, I do not know. Fans should start demanding the CEO and Murta start facing the media. It shouldn't be left to only the manager, says Michael. Well, many of us have said this for a long, long time. I completely agree with you. If you look at Bayern Munich, you look at Bayern Munich and you look at Borussia Dortmund and other clubs, they have this fantastic way of their CEO talks or their sporting director talks, and the manager really only sort of talks about, not necessarily about transfers. So yes, John Murta should do more. Yes, Richard Arnold should do more. It shouldn't be done in a pub where you've been ambushed. It should be done publicly. You should be open. And the great thing about that pub chat is that we got quotes from Arnold he never would have said, and he's been proven to be a liar because he spoke about the money being there. Or where is it? Where is it, Richard? Where are these signings? There's still time. But even if we did pull off Antony and de Jong now, I'd still say that's not a good transfer window. It's good to get the players that Ten Hag wants, but why so late in the window? I just didn't have time to talk about this morning because it was right at the end of the show. Please smash a like on the video, by the way. I've got some big news for you in a minute. Please smash a like on the video and subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. 2 bits of news, actually. And, the Ziyech thing. Majik says, I'm happy to hear that Ronaldo looks like he's staying now. I told you his family are back with him in Manchester. Yeah, I think it's so important we keep Ronaldo. Might not be great for him, but it's so important we keep Ronaldo. Ziyech is potentially a replacement for Antony. A cheap, not as good Antony, in the sense that Antony's 22, I think Ziyech's nearly 30. But I would have said a few weeks ago, no way, don't get Ziyech. What a shit signing that is. But unfortunately, and some people don't seem to understand that, they'll go, why do you want Ziyech now when you didn't want it a few weeks ago? It's a little bit like saying, when your mum or your girlfriend or whatever says, or your dad, do you want? I'm away home. Do you want a McDonald's? And you go, no, I've just had a Burger King. I'm fine. But then, in a few weeks later, he might say, do you want a McDonald's? And you go, yeah, I'm starving. Like, you're gonna change your opinion on things in a transfer window, because I didn't want Dybala. When we were talking about Dybala a few weeks ago, I liked Dybala, but I didn't want Dybala because I was like, I want better than Dybala. I would take Dybala now. The circumstances have changed. Some people don't really understand that circumstances change, so opinions have to change. I wouldn't have wanted Ziyech in June because I want Antony. Why are we taking a Chelsea player that they don't want anymore? I want Antony. But with 3 weeks of the transfer window to go, would I take Ziyech? Yes. He's played with Ten Hag before. He knows how Ten Hag plays. He was a bloody good player at Ajax. I don't think he was terrible at Chelsea, who could never really get enough game time. We're desperate. Of course I would take Ziyech over nothing. Do I ideally want Ziyech? God, no. But right here, right now, would I take Ziyech over nothing? Yes, because we're desperate. And that's what annoys me, is how desperate we are. Ziyech's not my ideal signing, but in this situation, Caleb says thoughts on Ander Herrera. I mean, I would say no, I don't want Ander Herrera. I used to love Ander Herrera. We never should have let him go. Do I want Ander Herrera now? No, it's not the sort of signing we should be making. But would I play Herrera over McTominay? Yes, come on down. But that's where the club have put us now. They're not good. Ziyech's not a good signing. Rabiot's not a good signing. Ander Herrera's not a good signing. But you probably take all three over nothing because we're desperate. It's not the players' fault. It's the club's fault for having a crap window and putting us in the situation again where we're going for Igalo's, Cavani's and every other player that we've done over the last few years because we're desperate. We've messed the window up. Ralph not consulted on coach who was appointed. Coach who was appointed didn't want to work with him, have belief in Ten Hag, but another show of incompetence, says Felipe de Silva. No, you're wrong there, Felipe, actually. Because Ralph Rangnick did recommend Ten Hag over Pochettino. So that you're wrong there. As I said, there is this myth that Ten Hag sacked Rangnick. Ten Hag wasn't even in the job until the middle of May. Ten Hag wasn't even told. We didn't even announce Ten Hag was getting the job until, was it the middle of April? Man United had already made their mind up about Rangnick at the end of March. So it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit at all. You just got to work out the maths. Rangnick was well out of his way, well out of the club, well out of way. I mean, when did he take the Austria job? End of March. He was well out of the way at Man United before Ten Hag was even conceived as a Man United manager. That sounds like a weird word. Mark, do you think Ziyech is a class player? I like Ziyech, but I would never want him at Man United as part of our new Man United. But, 3 weeks out from the end of the transfer window, he's better than nothing, and we've got nothing at the moment. Chicharito to United, says Jose. No. How much would Ziyech cost, says Mikel Roach. You know what? I don't even know. Let me just have a quick look. I don't know what the situation is with Ziyech. Let's have a look how long he's got left on his contract. So he's currently 29. He's going to be 30 in March. And his contract runs till 2025. So he's not available for free. They probably would want, they probably would want 20, 30 million for him, to be fair. Which is probably the problem. Would you pay 25 million for Ziyech? I'd be happy to pay 10, but I don't know whether I'd pay 25. Considering Gakpo's available for 35. Yeah. I mean, look, the money, if you could get him for 20, I probably would do it, Savage, yeah. But the money could be a problem, no doubt about that. Fab Show, looking ahead, would you take Mitrovic at Fulham, says Adrastra. I wouldn't mind Mitrovic as a striking option off the bench. Actually, I think Mitrovic would be perfect for Arsenal, Manchester United, Spurs. I think Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool would want better. But I think Mitrovic for Man United, Spurs or Arsenal would be the perfect bench striker. He'd be perfect for it. Hard-working, good hold-up play, good in the air, good finisher. Mitrovic would be perfect as a bench striker for Man United in the role of, what we had with Cavani, I suppose. I mean, obviously Cavani's better, but they won't sell him. Fulham wouldn't sell him, and Fulham would want ridiculous money, so you can't do a deal like that. But no, I mean, I've got nothing against Mitrovic. I think he's going to score some good goals this season, and I think he would be the perfect striker to put on your bench and fight with the other player. So, but we won't do that deal. So yeah, that won't happen. Let me just whack this into the chat. I'm just pinning something there for you. Okay, so Glazers are undercover Liverpool fans, says Channel Future. They're not undercover any fans. They're not fans of football. They're fans of money. You think about the Glazers. Think about it like this: the person who bought the Glazers is dead. The person who bought Man United is dead. The Glazers' father, who was a businessman, who I believe, I don't know, and I can't pretend I care enough, but I think he was the guy who basically made the Glazers rich. Let's pretend he started off poor and he made them rich. He certainly was the guy who made the Glazers rich, and he bought United and he died. Okay. Are David Beckham's kids going to be David Beckham on the football pitch? No. And my point there is, when you're the kids of successful people, are you ever as talented as the parent? Sometimes it can happen. You could say Frank Lampard's better than his dad at football, you know, maybe. But the person who bought United died. His children now run United. Are they as good businessmen as their dad was? I don't know. But they're definitely doing it for the money. And that's what they run United. You know, it's a good point actually. The person who bought United was the dad. It wasn't the kids. They inherited it. Do they care about it? Is it for money? Yeah. Reese, Mark, the only way that we can get the Glazers out is to stop buying kits, stop buying tickets, so we can milk the Glazers dry. Thank you very much, Reese. Right, I've got a couple of announcements for you. Please smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. 8 o'clock video tonight. But 2 big things to tell you. We've got a really interesting interview coming up on the website this afternoon. So watch out for @UnitedStand MUFC on Twitter. And @Mark Goldbridge. We'll be tweeting out the link when it goes up. It's a really interesting interview, so watch out for that. I haven't read it yet, but I know what it is. Second thing, Ricky and Adam, outside Old Trafford, preview for the game against Brentford. Ricky has a list of players that he would drop. I think you can guess who they are going to be, so well worth a watch as well. Shouldn't we spend the 30 million on Kante? There were rumours about him at the start of the transfer window, says Shahin. Well, I think Kante's a bit of a risk, but I'd 100% take him now. I wouldn't take Icardi, Raja, God no. It wouldn't surprise me if we did go for Icardi, but I wouldn't go anywhere near him. And I need your help. The final thing, just before I go, I need your help. I've dropped the link in the chat. It's pinned at the top. I've got a new Going for Goldbridge video on my channel, but it sort of fits in with United Stand. You might want to watch it just because you like extra content from me that's not to do with football. But I've got some big news. I think it's big news. Well, it is big news for me. But I need your help. So check the link in the chat. Go to the new Going for Goldbridge. I mentioned what I need help on in the first couple of minutes. And I want you to get in the comments of that video and tell me what you think. It's something new and exciting, but it will be decided for by you based on me reading the comments later this afternoon and going through them. So please do check it out. I've dropped the link in the live chat for you to go and listen. Watch the whole video. You might like it. Subscribe to that channel, please. But I want you to listen to it and tell me what your thoughts are because I need your help on something. Thanks everyone for watching. Loads coming up this afternoon on the United Stand. Thank everyone for tuning in. Please do check that link in the chat and I'll speak